It's another Victory Monday here on Philadelphia Eagles Now as the Birds continue to roll. The Eagles have now won a franchise record 10 straight games after thumping the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Link yesterday in Week 15. And coming up on today's show, we're going to do a deep dive. How the Eagles won, biggest takeaways from that victory, the pass game responds to the critics and adversity, Lane Johnson shuts down TJ Watt, and what the Eagles have to do in this race to get the number one seed in the NFC. Before we do all of that, I want to say thank you to all of the real ones for your continued support of us right here on this channel. What we do would not be possible without all of you. Yesterday, we surpassed 94,000 subscribers, and now we're already 354 people away from 95K as we continue our road to trying to get that silver plaque from YouTube. So hit that sub button. And if you're loving this Victory Monday, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. And with that, let's talk some Eagles. And I'm Chase Sr. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. And let's start off with this. It will be a disappointment if the Philadelphia Eagles do not make it to the Super Bowl. And here is why. Yesterday we saw this. And during this 10-game winning streak, we have seen this. The Eagles are the most complete team in football. Offense, defense, special teams, they are loaded, and they're the most talented team in football. They are also a very well-coached team. Kellen Moore has done a great job this year with the run game. Yesterday, the pass game needed to improve. It did. And he's brought the best out of Jalen Hurts in moments. Saquon Barkley's had a great year. A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, they're putting up really good numbers. This Eagles offensive line is excellent. And then Vic Fangio on the defensive side of the ball. This Eagles defense was a joke last year. Dead last in a lot of categories. Bottom 3 in other categories. This year, number 1 defense in the NFL. And they are just dominating and throttling opponents on a week-in, week-out basis at this point. And during this 10-game winning streak, they're not even giving up 2 touchdowns per game. And Nick Sirianni is doing a great job as a CEO head coach. Culture is important. Putting your players in a position to succeed is important. Handling adversity is important. Keeping the team together during some tough times, that matters. Managing the game, that also is very important. And so Nick Sirianni overseeing the operation, I think has done a really good job this year. And what did the Eagles do after the bye week? They changed their identity as a football team. Players wanted to change how they were playing offensively. They went to Sirianni. He was malleable, he was flexible, and he agreed. And since then, this Eagles team has not lost. How you make adjustments during a season plays a big role in how a season will transpire. That starts and ends with the head coach. Elsewhere, why this can be the year for Philadelphia. Jason Garrett sometimes says this. I know he's a bad Cowboys head coach, right? Going down in history of Dallas, and we'll take it with the Philadelphia Eagles. But he made a really good point yesterday, and I've heard him say this before. Sometimes you watch the game from the side. You don't watch the game from the TV broadcast. And why do you do that? Because you want to see the push that your offensive line can get. You want to see the push that your defensive line can get. And the Eagles can dominate games at the point of attack, at the line of scrimmage. And they have a top 5 offensive line and a top 5 defensive line. With that offensive line, it is paving the way for the Eagles to have the best running game and rushing attack in the NFL. And then elsewhere offensively, the Eagles have one of the top wide receiver duos in the National Football League. A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith were unguardable yesterday, going up against a really stout defense. And yesterday, Jalen Hurts was awesome, getting rid of the ball quickly, on time, accurately, buying time in the pocket to make explosive plays downfield with his arm, with his legs. He was very accurate at all 3 levels, sideline to sideline. Yesterday's Jalen Hurts was the 2022 Jalen Hurts. Yesterday's balanced offense was the 2022 offense that no team could really stop. And if the Eagles get that version of Hurts, look out. This defense, elite at all 3 levels, and the NFL landscape is open. The Chiefs are down. The Bills can't defend anybody. The Eagles already beat the Baltimore Ravens. What other teams do you like in the AFC? The Eagles beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Houston Texans. They have some holes, and the NFC is open. And we'll get to that here in a moment. But you think about the teams in this conference, the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. And given how they've played during this 10-game winning streak, sound in all three phases, given their talent level, how well-rounded they are, they should be able to dominate their way in the NFC playoffs. Now, the road is not going to be a cakewalk. You look at the NFC playoff picture, and I think the Eagles, and I've said this for weeks, match up very well against the Detroit Lions. That Lions offense is incredible. But if you can lock down that number one seed and have home field advantage going through South Philadelphia when it's cold in January outside, Jared Goff struggles outdoors. And the Lions defense, I feel bad for that organization and that fan base. They have the best team in the history of the franchise. Yet they're probably going to lose both coordinators after this year, and Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. And their team is falling apart at the seams. David Montgomery, MCL injury, could be lost for the year. They have lost countless players on the defensive side of the football. They can't stop anybody right now. And so I love how that Eagles offense can match up with that Detroit defense. And with the way that this Eagles defense is playing, I think that they can stop that potent Lions offense. Now, the Buccaneers, they match up very well against Philadelphia. They are a threat. The Los Angeles Rams are a threat. Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers, really good teams. The Washington Commanders, up and coming. They're not ready for the stage. But the Eagles are playing better and are better than any other team in the NFC. As for how Philadelphia can clinch the number one seed, let's run through some of those scenarios. And if you want a video on this a little bit later today, I want you to type me in the comment section right now. If the Eagles win out at Washington, home against Dallas, home against New York, and the Lions lose at least one game at Chicago, at San Francisco, or Minnesota, number one seed is Philadelphia's. The Vikings also need to lose at least one game. They are against Chicago on Monday Night Football tonight, at Seattle, against Green Bay, and at Detroit. So that's a pretty difficult road for Minnesota. So these things have to play out in order for Philadelphia to get that number one seed. But it is possible. You can smell it, you can taste it, you can sense it. Looking ahead, who will get the number one seed in the NFC? Is it Philadelphia? Is it somebody else? Let me know down in the comment section. Philadelphia can clinch the NFC East, by the way, with a win over the Washington Commanders on the road coming up here in Week 16. My other takeaways from this victory for Philadelphia, how Jalen Hurts responded. It was not an easy week at the NovaCare complex. A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, they questioned the pass game. Nick Sirianni said those concerns are valid. Even Jalen Hurts said, we are not synchronized with our passing game right now. National media talking heads talking about Philadelphia and the drama within this team. Brandon Graham going on the radio. Are the Eagles going to fall apart at the end of this year like they did last year? So much stuff going on. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Nick Sirianni crushed their respective press conferences, and then they respond on the field. That's how you handle adversity right there, and Hurts was phenomenal. We'll dive into his performance coming up here later in the show. And then A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith, they said, we need to get better as a pass game. They backed up their talk with their play, both over 100 yards receiving. I loved how this pass game excelled. Steelers had no answers, and the Eagles were dominant throughout the course of the game, and I thought Jalen Hurts and Philadelphia, they were so good on the critical downs. Third down, fourth down. They converted more than 60% of those money downs. The balance of the offense. Yeah, Pittsburgh took away Saquon Barkley a little bit, still had some big carries and big plays. Kenneth Gainwell did as well, and the Eagles need a balanced offense in order to win a Super Bowl because it just makes them so much more difficult to face and game plan against. And Pittsburgh shut down that run, fine. We'll throw it on you. It was the offensive success against an elite defense. It was Lane Johnson shutting down T.J. Watt. It was the Eagles defense giving up one touchdown scoring drive. And the Steelers were given great field position because Reed Blankenship hit Justin Fields as he was sliding. Bad call. Fields slid too late. If you do that as a quarterback, it's on you. I echo what Tom Brady said. Philadelphia also dominated time of possession. And another takeaway from this win and throughout this winning streak is how complete the Philadelphia Eagles are as a football unit. And I kind of want to do a John Gruden impersonation. I'll tell you what, man. The Eagles are like a boa constrictor. How about that final drive? That's some old school smash mouth bully ball football, man. You start that drive on your 1.5. You go 21 plays, 88 yards. You take 10:29 off the clock. You started that drive with a little more than 10 minutes to go, and you end the ball game. And the Eagles are like a boa constrictor because they suffocated the Steelers, man. That's my John Gruden impersonation. But it's all facts. That's what the Eagles did in that game. And Pittsburgh, they had 2 possessions after recess. They had less than 6 minutes time of possession. And it was the Eagles' conversions on the money downs. It was how they converted within those drives in that second half, how they controlled the game. They grabbed this game by the neck. They grabbed the Steelers by the neck, and they suffocated them. And once again, they wore down the opposition throughout the course of a 60-minute ball game. Only starting to take flight here on the show, but first, holidays are coming up. You looking to get something awesome for a significant other, a loved one, family member, good friend, somebody who you really care about? How about tickets to an Eagles game? How about tickets to a sporting event? The perfect gift to put under the tree or by the menorah. With the Game Time app, you get the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. Prices drop as the event gets closer. They have flash deals and zone deals. You can also see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You can access tickets from your phone. They have ticket insurance. They have the lowest price guaranteed, where if you find a ticket for a lower price elsewhere, Game Time will credit you up to 110% of the difference. And right now, when you download the app, you create an account, and you use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, you get $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. Eagles on the road to take on the Commanders. If you want tickets to that game, it's not a far drive down I-95, and you can see the Eagles clinch this division for the second time in 3 years. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. What time is it? Game Time. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we move forward. That was Jalen Hurts' best game since, I don't even know. Through the air, that looked like the MVP runner-up Jalen Hurts from the 2022 campaign. And I loved how he approached the week. He admitted, I need to be better. We as an offense need to be better. I understand where A.J. Brown is coming from. We are good. Then he goes out there. He faces the noise. He silences the critics. And he has his best passing game in a long while. And then after the game, he takes the post-game podium and he says, is that what y'all wanted to see? That's what we wanted to see, Jalen Hurts, and he gave us a dazzling performance. 25 of 32 on the day, 290 yards, 9.1 yards per completion, 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground with the brotherly shove, and a quarterback rating of 125.3. And he had it clicking with his top 2 wide receivers. And I do believe that if you want to win a Super Bowl, you have to have that balanced offense where you can carve up the defense through the air and on the ground. And when the Eagles are balanced like this, they are so hard to stop with their style of play and how well the defense is playing. DeVonta Smith, 11 catches on 12 targets, a $109, 9.9 yards per completion, some clutch grabs throughout the course of that ball game. He was unguardable. A.J. Brown was unguardable. Jalen Hurts, 2 good touchdown throws. A.J. Brown, 11 targets, 8 catches, 110 yards, 13.8 yards per completion, 1 touchdown. Both able to beat zone, both able to beat press man, and you're going to be facing a lot of those types of defenses throughout the course of the NFL playoffs if you want to win a Super Bowl. And one of the matchups of the day, going into this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I had said, if you're a football nerd, you're going to love this matchup between Lane Johnson, the best right tackle in the game, and T.J. Watt, the best defensive end in the game, who came in top 10 in sacks, number 1 in quarterback hits, second highest graded player, according to Pro Football Focus, as an overall edge rusher, number 1 graded player against the run. And how about how Lane Johnson fared against the Pittsburgh Steelers? T.J. Watt is a player who primarily lines up as the left defensive end, over the right tackle, and Lane Johnson pitched a shutout. 38 pass blocking snaps, 0 sacks allowed, 0 hits allowed, 0 pressures allowed, and a pressure rate of 0.0%. TJ Watt did have 2 sacks. They didn't hit Lane Johnson with those 2 sacks. Here's what Lane had to say about TJ Watt. He knew that he was drawing a tough assignment. When you watch people play this guy, they don't ever leave him alone. They chop him every play. Coaches believe in me. I'm glad they do. But I might have a couple of shots tonight. That was a long effing day on an island with TJ Watt. I had effing nightmares. Well, Lane Johnson, you may have had nightmares, but you pitched a shutout against one of the top defensive players and overall players in the National Football League, and you kept Jalen Hurts upright, and it's a big reason why this Eagles offense was balling. An unsung hero from the Eagles game yesterday. How about Kenneth Gainwell? Kenneth Gainwell catching the ball out of the backfield, running the football, made some huge plays in some pressure cooker moments. 123 all-purpose yards. That spin move where he dropped the Steelers DB to his knees like an old-school Allen Iverson crossover, beautiful to see. As for Quinyon Mitchell, didn't give up a catch in this game, I don't think. He is now the favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, overtaking Jared Verse in the betting odds. And then another young player really starting to develop before our very eyes this year in year 2. And he's a player who in the preseason I had told everybody, relax. Nolan Smith's going to be fine. He has a lot of ability. He's a good player. Give him some time. Give him some runway. Well, the Eagles have given him some runway, and they haven't really missed Brandon Graham as much as I thought they were going to. Bryce Huff, who is he? 17 games in 2023 for Nolan Smith. 1 sack, 1 TFL, 3 quarterback hits. 14 games this year. 5.5 sacks, 7 TFLs, 10 quarterback hits, 2 pass deflections. The developments from these Georgia players, a big reason why this Eagles defense has gone from arguably the worst last year to the best this year. Let me hear from you before we dip on out of here. Do you want a playoff seeding breakdown video later today on this Victory Monday? If you do, type me and we'll cook that up for you.